Take those fragile years, all your worry and tears, and put them on me. Oh, I must admit, when I think of how far we've come, it was worth the risk, 'cause it dug us a deeper love. Never in a million years did I think I'd get so lucky. Never in a million years did I think you'd be mine. And now I can't imagine a life without you, and every song that I write's about you. Just thought you should know I'll never let you go. Never in a million years. Never in a million years. Honey, I've been thinking about how we've come to be found in this moment. Makes it easy to believe, must be more to you and me, something magic. And I must admit that every morning I wake up, either I must be dreaming or I must be lost in love. Never in a million years did I think I'd get so lucky. Never in a million years did I think you'd be mine. Now I can't imagine a life without you, and every song that I write's about you. Just thought you should know I'll never let you go. Never in a million years. Never thought life could be so good, but it's so good with you. Never thought life could be so good, but it's so good with you. Never thought life could be so good, but it's so good with you. Never thought life could be so good. Never in a million years did I think I'd get so lucky. Never in a million years did I think you'd be mine. And now I can't imagine a life without you, and every song that I write's about you. Just thought you should know I'll never let you go. Never in a million years.
I am so sorry. Hang on a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bannerman Show. Hang on. Let me just go back to my main scene. A bit of confusion now because I'm trying to show you guys more things, right? Hi, welcome to the Better Man Show, and this is a show where I document my journey on becoming the best version of myself in 2021 and beyond. And of course, you're welcome to join along in the journey. My name is BK. If we are not friends, don't be a stranger. Just hop on to wherever I'm popping up on your radar. So a bit of a confusion right now because this is a show where I kind of test out things in life, business, as well as technology, so that you do not have to do the testing. And just now, a friend from France, my good friend from France, Mijo. Yeah, let's go. Thanks, Mijo. So today, I kind of wanted to touch a little bit more about what I did yesterday as well. And if you're joining us for the first time, This is day 96 of a 100-day live stream challenge. So exactly 96 days ago, I started a personal live stream challenge primarily to build some discipline muscles, but it has evolved into a lot of interesting things, including testing out some business and technology stuff, right? And of course, some live lessons that I've been sharing on this channel. So if you have been joining us a few times already, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your company as well as your comments and feedback and support. A lot of friends have private message, and I truly, truly appreciate all the things that you share. And if you are not, this is your first time, welcome, welcome. And where have you been for the past 95 days? But anyway, you're welcome to join us today. So yesterday I kind of touched on this new thing where I was able to do a simple live stream, and instead of showing like slides or stuff like that, I was able to write on the screen. And a friend was asking me how that was done, right? So I kind of want to briefly talk about it. And in order to do that, I also had to set up some additional things, which was why there was a bit of confusion just now. I'm not sure why the the transition didn't go through, but anyway, like we can always troubleshoot that later. But that's the fun part about live streams. Things do um, get a bit of hiccups and so on, but I think that's also the charm of live streams, because people understand that, hey, this is totally live, right? And things do go wrong, and things do have to be fixed on the fly, right? And then it becomes like a very real show, right? A very real show. So today you're gonna see some of these things, right? So yesterday, what I did was I was sharing about some tips with regards to technology, and I was doing this. Oops, sorry. So I was writing this on the screen, right? So a friend was asking like, how is this done, right? So I'm going to talk about green screens in Zoom, Ecamm, or any of the live stream platforms that you have. Now, essentially, green screen technology is just simply a soft. Okay, so there are two parts to it. The first part is you need to understand that. So there is a hardware component as well as a software component, right? There's a hardware component and a software component. So hardware component, so let's talk about green screen first. Green screen is a technology whereby you replace what is green, or sometimes can be blue, right? So it's either blue or green, but it must be one solid color, and you replace that color with something else that you want as a background. Typically, it's a background, right? And so, typically, what you see, if you see some of the making of movies, behind the scenes making of movies, whereby you see they film a group of actors behind the background is all green. That's because they want to digitally remove the background and replace it with something else in the background. Now, so the hardware part of it is that you need a green screen, you need a green background. Now, what you see behind me now, these are real sets. So personally, for myself, I prefer. So there's two kinds of sets. So there's a virtual set and there is a real set, right? So there are two kinds of sets. So a virtual set would be a green screen set, and then a real set is what you see now. So behind me, all the things that you see are actually there, right? They are actually there, and what I kind of prefer it that way, right? Because then you can stage some things, and also if you check out on YouTube and so on, there are people who are very handy, and they do up such wonderful, amazing sets, and it's really really nice. Because right now this is a rental apartment, this is the best I can do, right? Just to add at least some visual interest in the background for you, the audience, right? Right. So I kind of prefer a real set. That's my preference. Now, but a lot of people do like to have virtual sets. A virtual set means a green screen, and then you can replace that green screen with anything that you want, right? With anything that you want. Now, so in order to do that, there are two ways to do it. The first way is you literally have to physically have a physical green screen, right? You have to have a physical green screen in the background. And how it looks like typically is that, for example, let's say instead of this background now, I actually buy a green screen and then I put the screen behind me. For pardon my drawing skills, it's not very good. Okay, and then so this is going to be like a green color screen. Okay, so you will literally have a green colored screen behind me that is a physical equipment which you can buy readily from a lot of. Sometimes they are the whole entire piece of cloth. Sometimes they are like a collapsible, foldable things. It depends on how elaborate you want it to be. And some people have the whole room or the whole studio set in green, which is possible as well, right? You can check out and Google a person called Jim Carroll, another friend of mine. He has amazing sets that are done completely in green, right? Now, so the hardware part of this green screen thing is that first you need a green screen, which is behind me, for example. I'm just simulating it with the lines here, right? And then the software that you use typically is Zoom or Ecamm or whatever, or OBS or StreamYard, right? You then have to tell the software that please replace whatever is green with a video file that I have placed, I want to be in place of the green. So when I film myself behind a green screen, right? Then you will not be able to see my real background, correct? So what happens is then inside the software, it is replaced by it could be a still image, it could be a moving image, it could be whatever you want, right? Now, do bear in mind that it can be processor intensive. So if you don't have a fast enough computer, sometimes that might slow down your performance of your live streams, and it may not be a good idea, which is partly why I prefer a real set. That's why I'm choosing a real set, because I don't think I need to tax my machine in that way, right? Now, so typically the green screen is in the background, right? And then you replace the background with something you want. And so that's why people, when you attend some of the Zoom meetings or Microsoft Team or whatever, right? You notice that they can place themselves in all parts of the world, or they are in a virtual environment that looks very nice, or even in an office space, right? That's the main way they do it. Now, in Zoom, interestingly enough, there is a virtual way of doing it, which is you don't need a physical green screen, and Zoom does it in in a software for you. But I typically find that, I don't know whether you noticed, but when people use the virtual green screens inside Zoom, which is they don't have a actual hardware green screen, right? The images or the video quality becomes dropped. It's not as nice, I find that. So I would personally not use the virtual green screens inside Zoom if I can help it, right? Unless you happen to be in a location where you really, really do not want people to know where you are, and you just want to quickly replace it with a virtual green screen, which is possible, right? Because of privacy reasons, okay? So typically a green screen is behind you, right? Typically a green screen is behind you, and you are replacing it with something else. Now, how this is done, how am I able to write in front of me, is because now instead of having the green screen behind me, the green screen is actually in front of me using an iPad. So imagine now there are two cameras. So this is my camera, and then the iPad is in front of the camera, right? But it is green screen. It is green screen. So I'm going to show you in a minute. It is green screen. And then in software, which is this platform called Ecamm Live, I have digitally removed the green. So you don't see the iPad as a camera or as a screen, right? You only see what I write on it, which is not in green. So that's why you notice if I write something, so this is me. right? So I can write something and it is above my video because this is now the screen is in front of me now. Therefore, that's how you do this effect or this mode of presentation, right? This is how you do it. Okay. So let me show you how it's done. Let me show you how it's done. Hang on a minute. Okay. Oops. Because it's in green, so you don't see the green. Notice that it's all kinds of weird colors. Hang on a minute. Let me remove the green screen. Okay. And switch the camera around. Let's see. So it's actually green, but because of the software, it's a bit hard to see now. Okay, it looked fine just now. Let's try and do this. So this is actually the iPad. And I'm not sure why the colors are so funky. It's a green color screen right now. And so if you notice, this is what I was drawing. So my hands are normal color, right? Yeah, I think there's a bit of green screening going on, which is strange. But instead of, so if I go back to the previous screen, right? This is what you see. So the iPad is added as another layer on top of my camera, right? So when I show you the iPad, right, this is exactly what you were looking at, right? But this output is now being sent to be in front of my camera so that whatever I write and draw on this, right? So this is new, right? I wrote the word new. And if I go back to the previous scene, see, this is how it looks like, right? So I need to figure out why this coloring is going on because the next scene actually doesn't have any green screen effect. So it shouldn't have that green screen effect, but it is overlapping. Okay, I'm going to just show you again. Let me turn off this. And this is actually a note. So if you look at the top here, this is actually a note. It's actually from Notability, but I can scroll it, right? And if I go all the way to the end and I add a new page, so this whole slide is all in green. This whole slide is all in green. So you notice that this is a green screen, which is 5 pages long, so that I can actually scroll. So for example, if I'm doing a presentation and I'm writing, I could actually slide it up so that you don't see it. And then this is kind of like the second page, right? So if I go back, right, see? So this was the first page, and then I can slide, and this is the second page. So this is how this is done. This is how this is done. So I'm not sure why. And then this is the camera that is, this is my old iPhone that is now being repurposed as a second camera. So this is now showing you the desktop view, which is here, right? Which is here, right? This is funky. This coloring is really funky. It's just actually a green colored screen, but I'm not sure why it is. Let me try and see. if I go to blank, nope, doesn't help. I will figure it out. Yeah. So this is how it's done. This is how it's done, and this is how you can green screen and write on your screen if you want to, whether is it in Zoom or in Ecamm or any other software. You basically need an iPad, and you basically need to select, add it in as a camera inside your system. And what you're doing is basically you're layering your camera. So you have one camera, which is the main camera, and then you have, no, sorry, this is your main camera, and then you layer the iPad device, the output in front of it, but you green screen it. And therefore, whatever you write on the iPad, which is green screen, will show up on top of you. So you can see that it actually shows up. It shows up in front of me, right? So this is in front of me. It's a bit hard to find out where I am. So actually I can move this. See? I can't move left to right though. And then when you do that, then this is how the effect is done, right? Okay, so interesting part of this was that just now when I tried to connect an extra, so now there are actually three cameras connected to the system now. One camera is this camera, which you are seeing now. This is the one, right? Another camera is this camera, which is showing you this view, right? And there is one more camera, which is the iPad camera. So all in all, right now there are three cameras that are concurrently feeding input into this platform now. Now it's only possible because the new Mac Mini M1 silicon chips are honestly quite amazing. It is a beast of a machine, and it's been able to handle practically anything I throw at it. So if you are considering doing live streams for your business or office right now, or whatever else, and you are thinking of investing in some of these things, I do have some recommendations. They are not, and in fact, the good news is that it is actually the new MacBook Mac Minis are actually quite it's actually quite affordable comparatively. Was quite a surprise, and it works great. It really works great. And Ecamm Live is currently natively supported inside the Mac Minis, which are the M1 Max or Big Sur. Natively meaning is running as a silicon based software. It's no longer Intel based. Um, sorry, I'm just geeking out. But it works amazingly fast, and it's amazing. And so hopefully that's been helpful to you. Again, I'm testing out all these things so that you do not have to. If you are keen on knowing more about how to do all of these things, right, just hit me up and feel free to send me a private message, especially if you are not sure about the gear to buy, especially if you're starting out. I have some suggestions and some tips for those things, on things that will work very well for your purpose, right? My first question whenever I ask friends is always, what is the use case that you envision for whatever you're doing? Because once you have a use case, I can then properly advise, right? And that's always the best. So, yep, this is it's a lot of mess here. It's really quite a messy thing now, but I'm always amazed by some of my other friends who are such professionals in what they do. Um, cable management, I'm not sure how they manage to position everything. For me right now, the biggest frustration at times is really the cables. It's just everywhere. It's like because of this extra camera now, there's so many other cables, because you got to have a connector, and then you have another HDMI cable, and then you got to go to the back. So I'm just amazed whenever I see screenshots or videos of other people's setup, and it's so neat. I'm just amazed by how they do it. So if you have tips on that, I'll be happy to learn from you. I have some idea, but it just takes a bit of time to disassemble everything on this table now, and then reassemble them in the way that that may work, right? So hope you have fun learning about green screens. Um, I think the end of the day is about what you really want to achieve, right? Personally, for myself, I prefer real sets all the time. But if you prefer a virtual set, especially if you're just doing Zoom, my suggestion is get a physical green screen and then do it in software after that, rather than make use of the virtual ones inside Zoom. Doesn't work as well. That's my personal opinion, right? Uh, but this iPad setup is literally more for educational or illustration purpose, right? So that from time to time, today I learned a new word, which is probably true, and it's called Zoom fatigue. So everybody is in the world is like attending Zoom meetings and Zoom meetings and Zoom meetings and Zoom meetings. So there is something called Zoom fatigue, which is where, and of course, because most of the time, most speakers and presenters would be using a keynote or a PowerPoint, and the way they set up the presentation obviously be in a certain format. And because you keep seeing them in the same way, then it develops what is known as Zoom fatigue. And so in order to overcome that, might be good to change up your game a little bit. So for example, if you are very, very reliant on having to do presentations to secure a deal, or presentations to your customers or your prospective clients, then in order to overcome Zoom fatigue, might be good to up your game in some sense, right? By implementing some of the things that we are doing here, right? Um, you don't have to do it all the time, but it's just changing up the things that your audience sees on their screen from time to time, right? Such that they don't go into this, they're not lulled into, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and watch whatever you're saying, but they don't really pay attention. Now, of course, the whole idea of you getting someone to be on a Zoom call, on a live stream, or on presentation with you is obviously because you are trying to uh, you are in an act of persuasion. And if there is Zoom fatigue or presentation fatigue, then whatever thing you're doing becomes kind of lost on them, right? So some of these new things that or new capabilities that you can implement together with your presentations, if it can overcome the Zoom fatigue, it's obviously good for you, right? I mean, it's obviously going to be good for whatever message you are trying to do. So typically, is very important for salespeople as well as for educators, right? And you notice that educators, especially as well, they are also very, very innovative in the way they do things. Because, for example, like if the students are just bored in class, they're not going to learn, right? But if doing something new like this, and if you're able to draw and do things and all of a sudden, hey, okay, this is new. This is not something that I see on normal regular Zooms, right? And then it becomes at least it captures their attention, and then your message can get across, right? So like here, if you know, like I was just doing this the other time, and some of them were saying that what about this microphone, right? Is that you kind of need to say this is the difficult part. It's actually nearer to here. Okay. So you see this part here? See, so you can do something like this as an illustration. So this portion here, this part here is actually an additional equipment that you need to make sure you can run this microphone properly, right? So this is one of the ways you can make use of a green screen like this, right? Okay. Even the eraser looks interesting. I'm just like a schoolboy in a place in a toy store, right? Anyway, yeah. So the whole idea is if you are conducting a meeting or presentation and you want to overcome Zoom fatigue or presentation fatigue, then perhaps some of these new tricks and toys might just do the trick for you. Forgive the pun. And if you want some of these ideas and tips on how to do these things, again, don't be shy. Hit me up on drop me a private message, or just send me a message. I'll be happy to do all this for you, right? Send it to you. So I will see you tomorrow for day 97. We are literally very near the home set. Thank you, thank you. It's my good friend from school. Yeah, it is actually one of the things we can do, right? So thanks, George. I'm able to hopefully can catch up with you. Actually, you are here, right? Let's catch up one of these days. So thank you. I'll see you tomorrow on day 97. Oops.